So this is a continuation of the part 5 of the IBD Q&A series, and if you're new here, my name is Emeka. I'm a banker living in London, and my channel, we cover topics around banking, finance, while trying to live a fit and healthy lifestyle. Muscle, money, mindset, all of that jazz. So this is the IBD Q&A series where more or less you guys ask me some questions via Instagram, YouTube, email, and I reply to your question literally directly with a video like I'm doing right now. So sit back, enjoy, like the video, let's start. The first question is, how do you manage your personal finances, X emergency fund, retirement fund, or other investments? Very good question. Now, the first tip I'll give you guys is to have less accounts. And I mean both investment and bank accounts. Now, I get it. A lot of people have different bank accounts because they think they need to try and earn the 2% in Lloyds or the 3% in Lloyds or the 4% in Barclays. Guys, think about it. Inflation is, 5, 6, 7%, whatever it is, 4%. No bank account in the UK is going to give you any rate that will beat inflation right now. No single bank account. I think First Direct Bank at a point was 7%. I think Barclays is the highest at 4.5%. These are not groundbreaking rates, right? The whole point is you want your money to be stuck somewhere where you can generate a return that can beat inflation. So there's no need to actually try and obsess over finding like a bank account with the perfect rate and all of that stuff. Spend your time educating yourself about investments so that way you can actually invest in assets that can beat inflation. From my point of view, you should have 1 or 2 bank accounts. And actually, let me rephrase. Obviously, it's account and then it's bank. So I think when it comes to banks, 1 or 2 is fine. Don't try and have your money in different banks because then it becomes hard to see what your actual financial position is. I think 1 or 2 banks is fine. Me, for example, I use Lloyds and Revolut. Lloyds, why? Because when I came to this country in 2014, we all opened a Lloyds account because Lloyds was down the road. So that's why I got Lloyds. It works fine. The app is good. I have a current and savings account with them and also a credit card account or whatever. With Revolut, I use them because when I go back to Lagos, the FX fees are good and the card always works when I need it. Lloyds sometimes misbehaves in Lagos, but in the UK, it's completely fine. So that's the only reason I have Revolut. It's literally for me to use when I go on holiday to Lagos or to Spain or to Greece. Literally that. If I wasn't traveling, I would not have a Revolut account because there's no point. Why do I need 5 banks? It makes no sense to me. Also, again, for investments, try and keep your investment accounts to a minimum because when your investment accounts are like all over the place, you have a Free Trade, Vanguard, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, you're 10% up, 5% down, 10K invested, 2K invested, except you're very diligent, which most people are not. Except you're keeping an Excel to track your aggregate financial performance, you have no idea if you're up or down, and that's not a good idea. Also, for personal finances, something I do is I check my direct debits and standing orders every single month when I get paid because sometimes we actually sign for stuff we thought we're going to cancel and we end up getting billed monthly, £40, £50. Like, check your direct debits and your standing orders every single month once you get paid. In fact, for me, the day I get paid is the day I look at my account and look at what is actually leaving my account and what's coming in. Because sometimes we think, oh, my account is fine. And then you find out that this app you go on the Apple Store and you forgot to cancel the free trial is billing you £50 a month. Like, it's a lot of money to most people. £50 a month is what? £600 a year. Like, it's not small change for a lot of people if you're earning under 50K. So make sure you actually check your accounts, debits, and credits each month when you get paid. And the part no one talks about is education. You have to be reading to try and improve your financial knowledge to invest in better assets that can beat inflation. That's the only way. The only way to beat inflation is to invest. You can make a lot of money, but if it's not invested, it would erode over time. For me, I don't like books in general. Most of my learning comes from audiobooks or podcasts. And that's what I do. Every month, I try and listen to at least some educational podcasts about finance. Also, on my phone, I have X or Twitter like it was before. And I also follow a lot of financial stuff on my Twitter because that way I know what's currently going on in the markets. Obviously, working in an investment bank, I'm getting a lot of financial information every day. So I'm always abreast with what's currently going on in the markets because you should know what the Bank of England is trying to do with rates, with your pension. All of this should be knowledge you're on top of. So I'll say spend a good chunk of your time trying to educate yourself about personal finance in general via podcasts, ebooks, the news, whatever you actually like, whatever you can listen to and be consistent with is what I would recommend. The next question is top 5 tips for incoming PE or IB analysts. Okay, I've done some videos on how to convert your summer internship. This will apply, but in general, if you're starting a new job in July or in August or in September, what should you do? The goal should be to try and add value as quickly as possible. Now, who determines if you're adding value or not? It's not you, it's your team, it's your manager. You need to find out from them as quickly as possible and have it very clear and in writing, if possible, what exactly are my goals and objectives for this year? What exactly do you want from me in this team? Let that be very clear. So that way you know exactly what they expect. Now it's on you to deliver. You don't want a situation where you're delivering on something they don't care about. It's an L. No one cares if you spent 15 hours working on a task that they don't care about. It's lost effort. So make sure you know exactly what they're expecting from you and try and deliver on that. And then once you're delivering, obviously the goal should be to try and exceed expectations, but that'll come over time. My next tip for you, if you're joining a bank or a PE firm, is ask questions. You're coming in and we know you know literally like nothing or not nothing. You shouldn't know that much because it's your first job probably. So we're not expecting you not to have questions. In fact, if you're asking no questions and your work is reflecting that you don't know what you're doing, that's a big problem. I'd rather you ask a lot of questions and your work is reflecting you don't know what you're doing, because then I can see, okay, this person is trying to learn, the work will improve. But if your work is shit, you're asking no questions, it's like, what's going on? So ask questions, that is always encouraged. But clearly, the questions you ask should evolve over time. Even week 1, you're asking me, what's the cash flow, what's the balance sheet? In week 8, you can be asking me again, what's the cash flow, what's the balance sheet? In week 8, you should be asking me, what's the relationship between a balance sheet and a cash flow or an income statement, or what macro factors currently affect this industry? Those are the questions you should be asking in week 8. Same at university. Week 1, you're doing BS economics, asking a lecturer what's demand and supply. It's fine. When it gets to week 10 and you're asking that question, it's going to be like, what the... You're going to ask those questions again. So your questions should evolve over time. Also, try and bunch your questions together and ask them at specific times during the day. I get it. You're doing some work. Don't ask a question like straight away. Trust me, it's effing annoying. Like, they won't tell you that, but if every 5-10 minutes, I get it, you're inquisitive, but you can't keep on asking a question every 5-10 minutes. What I would do is time block some time at 11 a.m. with the associate or with the analyst that's senior than me, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. for questions, and again around 4 to 5 p.m. or 4 to 4:30 again for questions. So that way you have specific time to ask all the questions you want. Now, the next thing I'll say is you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. And with those mistakes will come feedback. Do not take feedback personal. I'm going to say it again. Please do not take feedback personal. If someone is giving you feedback, it's never about you. It's just about the work you're doing. If you attribute any feedback to some sort of different factors, you will not survive because you're not going to improve. Again, the one way to show you're adding value is improving over time. And if you're getting feedback and you're saying, nah, it's not true, I know my work is good, you don't know your work is good because you've never worked before. Your MD or ED has like 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years experience on you. So who are you to tell them you think your work is good? Frankly, I'm an analyst 3, associate 2. Even analyst 1 told me my work is good. What are you saying? I look at them and like, you know nothing, frankly. So don't take feedback personal, embrace it, take a deep breath and try and get where they're coming from. If you're enjoying the video so far, please drop a like and leave a comment. It goes a long way. Now, last question. Is business school worth it? Ooh. When you say business school, I actually include both an MSc and an MBA. Is it worth it? On the balance of probabilities, no, it's not. Frankly, it's not worth it. An MBA is not worth it. I actually don't know anyone who has an MBA. Like, I know a lot of EDs, MDs, associates, VPs at top banks. Most don't have an MBA. Like, I guess if you're stuck in your career and you want to progress or you want to land an ED position at a different bank, an MBA might help. But frankly, guys, I don't think it's worth it. It's not been worth it for a very long time. An MSc is more worth it in my opinion because at least that gives you direct finance knowledge to carry out your role more effectively. So I'll say MSc, if you really wanted to do it and I don't know, your parents will pay for you, go ahead and do it. But if you're going to incur some debt to do your MSc, I would say don't do it, especially if your undergrad was in finance. I would say this honestly, not that there's no point, but does that added advantage from an MSc really increase your job prospects? I don't know. I'm not sure anymore, honestly. So yeah, thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you found that useful. Like the video and I'll see you in the next one.